Did you know that 84% of Democrat caucus goers who are 30 or under supported Bernie Sanders? Those numbers spell potential doom for Hillary Clinton. If Bernie Sanders can keep up that type of momentum with 30 and under people, he could get the Democratic nomination. We'll see what happens, but I'm telling you, those numbers are unheard of. Now, Bernie Sanders could stand up and say, Iowa has spoken, and it would be delusional. Iowa didn't speak. A fraction of the voters of Iowa, a fraction of the residents of Iowa spoke. Probably more people have cast a vote for Bernie Sanders in the Democrat caucuses than voted for Ted Cruz in the Republican primary, in the Republican caucus. I want to play you again Ted Cruz's clip. And I'm doing this because I want a sense of reality to pervade what's happening right now. And what Mr. Cruz says lacks reality. All right? Iowa has spoken. No, 53,000 people spoke. Okay? There's millions of people in Iowa. 1 in 4 Republican caucus goers spoke. He talks about it was a great victory for the grassroots. Well, Donald Trump and Marco Rubio both have a lot of grassroots support. I'll tell you what it said. It showed that the Get Out the Vote team that Cruz assembled was incredible. Incredible. And if he can keep that up throughout the primary process, he could have a chance to win. The problem is, some of you will remember that a man named Pat Robertson, the founder of CNN, in a Republican caucus, if my memory is correct, came in second place. Did incredibly well. I'll find out during the break. But then he went on to New Hampshire, and I think he got 6%. He spent all this time in Iowa thinking that if he could just do really well there, it's going to pave the way for him to be president. And it turned out to be completely wrong. So don't let these people, any of them, Donald Trump, any of them, don't let any of them kid you when they say, Iowa has spoken, America has spoken. Baloney. We are a house divided. Listen to Ted Cruz.
Let me first of all say, to God be the glory. Tonight is a victory for the grassroots. Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation. Tonight, the state of Iowa has spoken. Iowa has sent notice that the Republican nominee and the next president of the United States will not be chosen by the media. Will not be chosen by the Washington establishment. Will not be chosen by the lobbyists, but will be chosen by the most incredible, powerful force where all sovereignty resides in our nation, by we, the people, the American people. Tonight, thanks to the incredible hard work of everyone gathered here, of courageous conservatives across this state, we together earned the votes of 48,608 Iowans. To put in perspective your incredible victory that you have won tonight, that is the most votes ever cast for any Republican primary winner. Tonight is a victory for millions of Americans who have shouldered the burden of 7 years of Washington deals run amok. Tonight is a victory for every American who's watched in dismay as career politicians in Washington, in both parties, refuse to listen and too often fail to keep their commitments to the people. Tonight is a victory for every American who understands that after we survive 8 long years of the Obama presidency, that no one personality can right the wrongs done by Washington. The millions who understand that it is a commitment to the Constitution, to our shared insistence that we rise and return to a higher standard, the very standard that gave birth to the greatest nation that the world has ever known. To the revolutionary understanding that all men and all women are created equal. That our rights do not come from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or even from the Tea Party. Our rights come from our Creator. And the federal government's role, the federal government's responsibility is to defend those fundamental rights, to defend us. And while Americans will continue to suffer under a president who has set an agenda that is causing millions to hurt across this country, I want to remind you of the promise of Scripture. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
All right, as you can see, not afraid to bring up God, to God be the glory, quoting Scripture, but there still is that edge of almost a fantasy land. Iowa didn't speak, friends. A fourth of the voters spoke there. Over a third of them spoke for Mike Huckabee 8 years ago. Over a quarter of them spoke for Rick Santorum 4 years ago. So it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as Ted Cruz would have us believe. This is going to be a long, drawn-out battle, but I want to hear a God-centered politician. I don't want to hear delusion. We're a house divided, and we have to own it and decide who's going to prevail. I'll be right back.